Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Lessons at Fingertips. Here we are going to discuss on some important topics in really simple words so that it's easier for you all to understand and keep things in mind. So today my topic of discussion is going to be the continuation of my previous topic, that is organizational behavior. This is the part 2 of the organizational behavior. If you haven't watched part 1, I will add it in the description below. So let's go here. So what we are going to discuss first on the organizational behavior is that the forces that affects the organizational behavior. There are certain forces. In terms of forces, what actually affects the organizational behavior. We have already discussed, right, what is organizational behavior. Now the first one is people, and in people it includes what? Individuals and groups. So in terms of particular individual or particular groups, the organizational behavior is affected. How a particular individual is acting, how he is performing. So, or maybe a group of people, how they are reacting to certain circumstances, how they are acting, how they are performing. So that affects the overall organization ka behavior, right? Why? Because an organization comprises of all these things. First is people, the structure, the technology, the environment, all these four things an organization comprises of. Now whatever you are comprised of, if those particular elements are making some changes and reacting to some particular things, then as a whole you will also be reacting to it, isn't it? So when an organization in all is having people, it is having what? The structure, it is having the environment, then the machinery or technology. So all these things are present in what? In an organization. So now in particular ways, if this elements which comprises of the organization, of which the organization is comprised of basically, makes some changes or reacts to some particular things, then we call it what? We are going to call it that those forces are affecting the organization behavior. So the first thing was what? People, the individuals and the groups, how they are reacting to certain things, that is going to affect. Second is what? Structure, the job structure, the relationship. If a person has to work out of 24 hours, if his job structure is such that he had to work 18 hours a day, will he be able to devote all of his energy anymore, like 1, 2, 3 days he have devoted? What about the other days? What about the 1 year, 2 year long term period? It can't happen. The efficiency will reduce. The desire to work will reduce. But if he is having a good job structure, which gives you a leisure time, which gives you proper 9 to 5 job, and then you have that beach car till lunch break, good time of lunch break, then you have the you have a bit of lesser workload or a decent one, then the person's, the individual's efficiency will increase, the desire to work will increase. So it is what is happening, the job structure, the relationship, the colleague to colleague relationship, or with the manager, with the other authority. How is the relationship? If you don't feel like to go to office, if you think that there everyone is very bad, not having a good relationship, then what happens? You will not feel like going to office, you will not feel like to work, you will not feel like to sit over there and complete your works. No, you won't do that. So good relationship, good work structure, job structure is very important. It affects the organizational behavior. The third one is technology, in terms of maybe machinery or computers. The more better technology you have, the less pressure you get. So you desire to work more, isn't it? So how is the technology? If you are working in factories, if the machinery are not good, if you need to face problem continuously in the machineries, you feel disgusted. Anyone will feel disgusted, not willing to work. So that also affects the organizational behavior. The kind of machinery, the computers, that is on the technology. Next comes the environment. How is the environment? How is the government performing at that time? How is the competition? How is the social pressure? If a company is having a very competitive market, everyone is producing the same types of goods, the substitute goods, and a very competitive market, you have the pressure. You as a worker, as an individual worker, have the pressure to do something more, to do something better, so that your company can do something better than the other competitive companies, isn't it? So those competition, the social pressure, the government, if government is giving some relaxations to the workers, then you are also happy, you are also having the desire to work. If it's asking you for more taxes, तुम्हारे salary से ही कटेगा ना. So that is the thing. So whatever it is, so government is, what is happening? The environment is basically the government. How is the government reacting? How is the competition in the market? How is the social pressure? So these are certain, forces. So all the above forces interact with each other, resulting in organizational behavior. It's not that a particular thing, only an individual. As an individual, how the technology is affecting you, how the social pressure is there, how is the workers with you. So all together, combined, they gives the organizational behavior. So I hope you have understood till here. So now let's move on to the next part. Here we are going to discuss on the models of organizational behavior. Now there are 4 different models. One by one we will be discussing. The first one is autocratic. What does that imply? How much power the management is having. The management actually has the most of the power, and how it utilizes it. Okay. So the autocratic model states that the power to the management, how much is the power to the management? Okay, what all power is the management having? Basically in the autocratic model, most of the power, almost all of the power is given to the management. It's in the hand of management. And this kind of model does not work in the present days. It was during the Industrial Revolution, when people used to protest, when the workers were tortured, they were exploited. It was during that time. Now, this kind of models are not prevalent. But let's discuss this. What is the power given to the management? And how is the management utilizing that power? Is it utilizing for the welfare of the employees? Is it utilizing to exploit the employees? That we are going to see here. That is the autocratic model. The management is oriented towards the authority, whereas the employees are oriented towards obedience and dependence on the boss. In this kind of model, the management is oriented towards authority, the power to manage the company, to manage the business. The boss is the supreme one, and the workers are not given any kind of, power. The employees, on the other hand, are oriented towards the obedience and dependence on the boss. They are just here to obey the boss and do their work rigorously. So this is the model, autocratic model. It tells that in this model, the performance result is minimal. The employees' performance result is minimal. Why do you think so? Because the desire to work is not there. They know that I will be exploited. I will work as much it is needed for my family to feed. I won't work more than that, because I don't even feel like work. You know that whenever in an organization, if it is having a good environment, people will do the work, automatically. No one even needs to poke them that, come on, do your work. No. If you poke people more and more, they won't be doing it. So you just leave it. Just give a good environment to work. They will work for sure. So that is the thing. So here also, as in the autocratic model, the management had all the authority, all the power, and they exploited the people. So the people also, the employees also delivered the minimal work. What is said is that, and was more prevalent during the Industrial Revolution. This working minimal, I won't be working, going on strikes, hartals. What is this? When it happened? It happened during the Industrial Revolution. When you exploit the people more and more, na, what happens is that the desire to work goes away. They are like, what will happen? What else can happen? This man had made me work like 18 hours, 17 hours. What else can happen? They have already exploited us. So people becomes fearless. They are now prevalent to take the revenge, to protest. That happens. So it was during the Industrial Revolution. The person in power performs what? Unfair practices, low payment, makes you work more, makes unfair practices and pays you very less, exploits, makes you work more and more. By pushing, directing and persuading the workers. Understanding? I have written it very clearly. The person in power performs unfair practices, low payment, exploitation. How? By pushing, directing and persuading the workers. As a result, employees put little effort in the work to fulfill just the basic needs of their family. And when you are exploited, when you are pursued so much, you don't feel like to work. You just think, I have a family back in my house, so I just need to feed them, and to feed them, how much work I need to do, I will do just the minimum. I won't work for this company, for any betterment of the company. You know, when the employees are treated nicely, properly, they think that how I can work more so that it will be beneficial for my company. But when they are exploited, they will think that I just need my salary, and to get my salary, how much I will have to work, I will do that. So that is the difference. Let's move on to the second model. Now, let's move on to the second point. That is what? Custodian model. As we have discussed earlier in the autocratic model, there, the employees do not even have the job security. They could be easily thrown out of their jobs whenever the boss or the management wanted to be. So there was no job security even. So now in the custodian model, which came after the autocratic model, what happened here? The basis of this model is economic resources with managerial orientation of money. What is the basis of this model? It's economic resources with managerial orientation of money. Okay? And earlier what was the basis? The management was the authority. That was the basis. And here it is what this model is: economic resources with managerial orientation of money. And in return, the employees in turn are oriented towards the job security and benefits and dependence of the organization. Earlier, the employees were what? Oriented towards minimal work. They were not even willing to work. But here, they are willing to work. They are oriented towards the security. They needs the job security. It can't be said that one certain morning they have come to job and they have said that you are fired, you cannot work here. No. They want that job security. So they are oriented towards the security and the benefits and the dependence on the organization. The employee need that is met is security. In the autocratic model, what was it? The employee need was to provide the basic, provide the basic family needs. That was the main need of the of the employees in the autocratic model. And here their need is security, and that is met. The performance result is passive cooperation. Okay, it's not. Earlier we had what autocratic model is? We had that the performance result was very much less. No performance result. They were not even thinking of performing. It was minimal. But here it is what? Passive cooperation. To perk up. In the autocratic model, the workers were sagging. They were not even willing to work. And to perk up, to boost that up, what happened? The employers, the management, they have introduced certain welfare schemes. they have to sagging moral of the workers under the autocratic model. The employers provided several welfare schemes in the 19th century, and those welfare schemes included like paternalism, fringe benefits or job securities. These are certain welfare schemes taken by the management, the employers, to boost up the sagging morale of the workers in the 19th century. I hope you have understood this model. Now, let us move on to the third model, that is the supportive model. Well, in the autocratic model, we have seen that the employees, they do not had any say or any power. Now, in the cooperative model, the next one we saw, custodian model, sorry, in the custodian model, we saw that they were given a little bit of right, they were given the security by the management, but they definitely did not had any say on the organizational structure. Okay. Next, in the supportive model, we see that the employees are given much more right. Even they are given the share of profit earned by the company. They have a say on the organizational structure. Let us go into this supportive model. It states that the basis of this model is leadership with a managerial orientation of support. What is the basis of this model? It is leadership with a managerial orientation of support. The employees in turn are oriented towards job performance and participation. You see here, when you treat the employees well, they are going to perform well. They are going to perform for the company, isn't it? So now here the employees in turn are oriented towards job performance, okay, and participation. The employees' needs are met here. What needs? The needs of status and recognition. They are given prominent status, recognition in the company. That is why they value their position. That is why they work for their company. They tend to work more for the company. When they are not valued, when they are not given the proper position, the employees will definitely not work for the company. If I am not given any position, if I am not treated well, why will I work for you? Isn't it? The same thing happens here. The performance results to awakened drives. No more sagging morals. Awakened drives. Here the leadership and other process of organization must be such as to ensure a maximum probability that all the interactions and the relationships within the organization will value everyone's background, beliefs, personal vote and importance. Everyone's belief, personal vote, they should be given the importance. That should be the managerial structure. From here it's very important. Here the leadership and the other process of organization must be such, whatever may be the leadership or other process of organization, it must be such as to ensure a maximum probability that all the interactions in the relation or relationships within the organization will value everyone's background, their beliefs, their self-worth, their personal worth and importance. For example, Tata ensures organizational harmony. So I hope you have understood this third model. Now let us move on to the fourth model, that is the collegial model. What does this term collegial implies? It implies a group of people working for a common purpose. Okay, that is, purpose. A group of people that is working for a common purpose. That term implies the term collegial. So here from the name itself you can understand collegial implies a teamwork. All people are working together. So definitely here is no boss, no manager, no one. There is no one who is having the authority, the supreme authority. There is no one here. It's a teamwork basically. Okay. So what does it imply? What is the basis of this model? The basis of this model is partnership. The basis of this model is partnership with a managerial orientation of teamwork. Okay. So here the basis of the model is basically partnership. Everyone, all the workers are here, all the members of this kind of model are partners to each other. No one is worker, no one is the employer. No, not like that. People have the same kind of qualifications, okay, working together. Like the research and development programs which takes place, isn't it? People have the same kind of knowledge. Maybe some have more, some have less, right? But it's not like there in the research and development projects you don't get this managers, you don't get this boss, supreme authority. No, it's a partnership project. Everyone will be working together like a teamwork. Here the employees in turn are oriented towards what? Responsible behavior, self-discipline. Everyone is self-disciplined. They have their responsible behavior. They know what are their responsibilities, what work they need to do. The employee need that is met here is what? Self-actualization. Self-actualization. That is the employee's need that is met here. Okay? Self-actualization. The performance. What does the performance results to? Moderate enthusiasm. All the four models, what you need to do? Make columns. Write the basis of the model. Write the orientation in terms of the employees and the employers. Write the need of the employee. These are the four different things you need to do. Do it. Okay, and it will be easier for you all to understand. So here I have written as collegial means what? Group of people working for a common purpose. Managers are not addressed as boss here, but is a facilitator. Okay. Employees are what? Self-disciplined, self-content and self-centralized. Okay. Here the employees are self-disciplined, self-content and self-centralized. What is the example? See, like the R&D team, I have said research and development team or any kind of project team. Okay. So this was all about the four models. Now see, we have this four different types of classification, but in today's today's world, you will not see any organization following any particular model. Okay, not one particular model. All the models, some of the other characteristics are mixed, and then an organization is formed. You will not find any organization having only any or following any kind of particular model. So I hope you guys have liked this video. Please do hit a like and subscribe to my channel and do comment. Do write in the comment box. Okay, whatever queries you have, do write there. I will try to clear it out. Thank you. Bye bye.